Hey, what's going on, everybody? Perswayable. That's my intro music. I'm not a video editor. I don't know how to really add music or anything. So, boom. That was my music. Alright, anyways, let me get to it. So, I'm very excited. This is the first video that I actually have, like, gameplay in it. So, I am learning how to become a video editor. So, I hope over the coming months I get better and better at it. Just know that I'm very excited for it. For any video editors out there, it's going to look garbage, but just know I'm happy because I finally learned how to do something. So for those who don't know, I'm a top 15 overall player. I mostly play Survivor, and I'm in one of the highest ranks in the entire game, and so this is my first guide video. Make sure you guys can check out my live streams. So a lot of people are asking for gameplay footage. I'm trying to learn the video editing, but guys, you can see my live footage every single day, and I can answer questions for you and show you things and teach you. So I'll put the link in below. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about Mind's Eye. I'm going to try to make this quick and efficient so I can add the gameplay in. I don't know yet where I'm going to add it, so I got to still figure it out. But so let's talk about Mind's Eye. So she is used in the top tiers. She's not used as often, but she definitely has a big benefit to her. Just for those who don't know, you have the Echo, which is her only ability, and that essentially means you can highlight the map, you can see where the hunter is. Typically this is used in the beginning of the match. Really gives you an advantage because you can see where the hunter is, and really you can kind of navigate around the map based on those 5 seconds and how that hunter moves. Be careful, sometimes the hunter will pretend to go one way, wait 5 seconds, and then cut a different way. Experienced and veteran hunters will do that. So also, your teammates can see where the hunter is. That's extremely beneficial to them as well, because if I'm playing Thief, then I really need to know where he is. Or if I'm the main kiter, I might go towards his way and get myself in position. So Echo is really cool. She also decodes 30% faster, and her vaulting is a 30% hit, right? So she vaults objects very slow. So that's pretty much the pros and cons to her. I wanted to kind of get that over with and out of the way, all right? So with that being said, a lot of people usually ask about her persona build, all right? With her, I typically prefer having a generalized persona build. You can check my other videos on YouTube. I talk about the best persona builds and variations of it, so I'm not going to get into it here because that's a long discussion. But for the sake of Mind's Eye, what we have for mine is I just go with the typical default. I go with Broken Window, and I also go with Borrowed Time. Now, some people don't understand why I use Broken Window, and the reason being so is that if you do encounter the hunter, you still need to have kite ability. You cannot go down in the first minute of the match. If you go down in the first minute of the match, it puts the entire match at a disadvantage. So it's your job to at least survive at bare minimum the first minute and a half to 2 minutes. At bare minimum, you should be down to 2 ciphers at that point in time. Helps your team out quite a bit. Alright, so this essentially, you guys should know what Broken Window is by now. If you don't, it means that you have a 50% boost. So if I climb a window, I can get a 50% boost for 3 seconds. It's the biggest kite in the build. You need this pretty much on every character. It's the same thing with knee-jerk reflex. It's just it's over pallets, okay? What else I do is I do Borrowed Time. Every single high tier, for the most part, uses Borrowed Time on a Mind's Eye, typically speaking, because in veteran matches, you're going to be able to open the gates of every single match. So this is your ability to survive. You'll get an 8% movement speed for 120 seconds, and you will also be able to get a initial burst for 50% for 3 seconds. This is Borrowed Time now, and you will also be fully healed, okay? Very big deal. The reason why I choose the other personas is because this allows you, exit path that allows you to re-heal yourself 1 time. There are cases you will use this, especially in experienced matches. I like distraction. Distraction is extremely important. For 5 seconds you can see the hunter when the exit gates are open. Now remember, if you're low tier or mid tier, you may not think that this part of the web is important. It really is for Mind's Eye, because when you get more experienced and play with better players, you guys are opening the gates every single match. And this is the difference between you being able to tie the match and win the match. Just your character alone. So you need that boost. You need the movement speed. You need to be able to have vision of the hunter. It makes no sense to be decoding all these machines just to be blind, to be slower than the hunter, because he gets boost when the exit paths are open. And if he chooses his persona build, he can also see you for 5 seconds. So you need that vision. Now, where it gets a little controversial is these two. Controversial. Alright, the reason why I do these is not the drill bridge effect, but when you get into legendary tier, guys, I don't know if you know this, I did make a YouTube video on it, but when you get into rank 5 and higher, you can only join the lobby with one other person. So for instance, my teammate is Legacy. I cannot go into the lobby with a 4-man team. Only me and Legacy can go in, and we get paired up with 2 other people, so there's no communication with them. Legacy and I don't even use Discord either. So this, when you get put on a rocket chair, everybody can see each other. It is entirely important because when you can't communicate with your teammates, when you're on the rocket chair, say if you're down to 2 ciphers and you have 2 coordinators, you can each see each other and be like, all right, I see them 2 on the same machine, or I see them 2 both decoding, so I'm going to go and attempt to rescue. As a coordinator, as a thief, that's not your job. All right, so that's a whole different video. So I just wanted to get into the persona build. So let's talk about strategy with her. Mind's Eye really requires 2 main things. First of all, who should use Mind's Eye? The people who should use Mind's Eye are usually the most experienced. These are people who are expert kiters and they can take the 30% devolt. And these are people who have memorized the entire map. When I tell you memorize the entire map, it means that you know all the places where the dungeon can spawn. It means that you know exactly where almost every pallet in the game is. For veterans, a lot of us, we all know this, so you'll get that with experience. So you can practice her in matchmaking, quick match. But if you don't know every single palette, if you don't know the kiting routes, if you don't know the strengths and weaknesses of each map, if you don't know the premise that each map has a certain layout that benefits the hunter and a certain layout that benefits the survivors, you need to know these things, right? Each map has a base set of cipher machines, and one of those layouts will significantly benefit the hunter, and one of those layouts will significantly benefit the survivor. So you should know what those layouts are. I can probably do a video on that at some time. Okay, so how do you use her? Well, half of it is you, half of it is your teammates, and this is why it's important that you only use her with people that you're playing with or experienced veterans. So the most important thing with her, other than knowing the map and kiting, well, is specifically knowing the strengths and weaknesses of each match early game. Okay, early game is the most important part. If you go down in the first minute and a half of the game, you're putting your team at a disadvantage. So you need to know how to position yourself to be in the strongest part of the map. So for instance, Sacred Hospital, and I'll add maybe I can add gameplay footage right now, I don't know. But for Sacred Hospital, the best place to go, okay, is inside the hospital itself. Now, remember I was telling you how the map benefits the hunter or the survivor? Sometimes there's 2 cipher machines in there. That actually benefits the survivors, okay? So you need to be in the best part of the map, because even though she has a 30% devolt, if you're in the best area of the map, you can still kite substantially well. Think of Sacred Hospital. You can go up the stairs. You can throw that pallet down without climbing it. You can drop through the holes. You can look. You can see if he's dropping down as well, and maneuver yourself. And that's what the gameplay. When I show you the gameplay, it's actually in a ranked match against a top 5 hunter in the world. So you'll see that it actually works. It's not a custom match, or it's not against a friend. So it's real footage. It was on my live stream. Now, the second part is your teammates, and this is where it gets difficult. So your teammates need to understand that you know where the strongest part of the map is and where the easiest machines are, which means that it's up to your teammates to leave those machines to you so they kind of carry their own weight in their own caliber. So as an example, if I have a Mind's Eye on my team and I'm a thief, right? Now we know that thief can kite and he can decode. He's one of the most versatile characters in the game. That means that I'm not going to go inside the Sacred Hospital sometimes. And the reason being so is that I want the Mind's Eye to go in there, because I don't want her to be captured. Which means that me now as a thief, I need to know how to position myself in the strongest parts of the map outside the map early game. And where I position myself is going to change whether it's early game or mid game, right? In Sacred Hospital, there's this area of 3 cipher machines between the little house and north of it, right? So that is a very weak spot to a degree. And if you leave all 3 cipher machines up in the game, at the end of the game, it's easy for the hunter to monitor those 3. They're right next to each other. So as a thief, I may wait until somebody else is kiting and immediately go there and start deciphering the machine. It's important to diversify the map, okay? I don't know how this ties into Mind's Eye, but the point is that your teammates need to leave the easy machines to you. You need to be able to survive. And that's why it's so important to position yourself correctly. There also is another way of using Mind's Eye, a little bit more advanced, where you can use some of the runes to your advantage and really work on using the palettes. But when you're facing a top 5 hunter, especially if they have blink, which is their ability to, in a short distance teleport over, they're going to whack you and they're going to hit you hard. So you got to be careful. So that's essentially really how to play Mind's Eye, is that you need to know the strengths and weaknesses of each map. I would argue that on the red church, it would be on the opposite side of the broken walls, alright? So on the other side, technically, if we were looking at a diagram, it would be the right side of the map. And in Arms Factory, you have a little bit of debate on where this could be, but typically you would want to be on the upper half where the big building is and where the ruins are on the side. You could go in the bottom corner of the map as well, the bottom right corner of the map. Maybe I can add pictures to show that. I'm learning how to do this video editing. That's how you use her, okay? So it's based on your ability to position yourself correctly early game. It's your ability to kite based on that ability. And it's up to your teammates to leave the easy machines to you and pull their own weight. If they're taking the easy machines from you, it's just going to make your job a little bit more difficult later on. And yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to add the gameplay later or if I'm going to add it while I'm talking about it right now. I don't think I know how to do that yet, especially with my layout. So I hope I was able to kind of give you insight on how to use her, and I hope you like the gameplay footage. And yeah, and make sure you guys definitely check my live streams out. Everybody keeps begging me to post my like a montage and all that stuff. I'm learning how to do it, but I stream all of my live feeds in rank mode every single night, so you can just go and check me out and ask me questions. I answer your questions. I teach everybody the routes and everything over and over and over again every single day, so feel free to check me out there. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Hope you enjoy the footage. We got here, it's going to be a little laggy about the gameplay. I apologize for that. I don't really know how to change that yet. This got to do with my OBS software. So anyways, what I'm doing here is I'm positioning myself in the strongest part of the map. Now remember, how you kite early game, which this is early game, the game just started, is very different from how you will kite late game. So here I am decoding and I see the hunter right after me. I'm going to throw this pallet down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down. Now it's very important not to just run right up the stairs. Make sure you can see him first, see where he's going, make sure he drops down, then go up, okay? Now remember, this is early game, so he doesn't really have charge unless he has a propeller. Now if this was late game, I'd probably jump down that window, but it's not. I know he doesn't have a charge yet, so I'm going to continue running over here. I have plenty of time. I'm going to run back up the stairs. I'm going to make sure I can see where he is still. I'm going to go back up the stairs over here. It's going to get a little choppy. Once again, I'm going to work on this, guys, so just bear with it. It does get better. I'm going to drop down, okay? So I'm going to drop down. I'm going to throw this pallet. I see that he's following me, so I'm actually going to go outside over here. All right. Oh, nope, never mind, not yet. I'm going to go back up the stairs. I'm going to go over here. Remember, you have 2 pallets up here, but we're not going to use that. So I'm going to jump down here, and I'm going to go out this window here. Now, I do have a 30% devolt, but I know that I can make it. I get that boost. That's knee-jerk reaction. I'm going to jump this. I'm going to throw this pallet here. Now, you can use this window here. You can use this entire wall. If he decides to go towards the window, you go back towards the pallet. He's going to destroy that, though. That was a mistake on his part. Not that it was wrong, but it gave me enough time to continue running. And so what I would do here is I would run back outside and do a loop, but he left me. And he left me because I was eating up too much of his time. So at this point, I'm going to go back upstairs, finish my job at decoding. This is just one example of how you can kite a hunter. And you might say, oh, well, what if the hunter would have done this or done that? Remember, this is early game, and there's a difference between early game and late game. So